Welcome to another review here on Ray Runner Does Music, where today we're looking at the new album by Vinyl Theater called Origami. Vinyl Theater is signed to Fueled by Ramen, which, if you remember correctly, is the same label that bands like Paramore and Panic at the Disco made their fame on. But of course, FBR is not afraid to help new artists shape themselves and evolve on the music scene. Look at bands like Oh Honey and Fun. While Fun, of course, has had more success than the aforementioned, both bands are receiving considerable attention here on the music scene lately. But of course, focusing on this new album, it's very indie rock influenced, with bands such as The Killers and 21 Pilots being very evident, and obvious inspirations looking at some of the songs and lyrical content in not only this album, but the preceding album Electrogram, released, I believe, in 2016 or 2015. So as you look into this band, you have this very interesting combination of keyboards, synthesizers, and the, of course, very complacent, very simple band mechanics, being guitar, bass, maybe a second guitar, drums, and vocals. But the vocals here are truly the strong suit of Vinyl Theater, looking at Keegan Calm's almost mesmerizing voice present on every single track here. It's truly something that sets them apart from a lot of bands in the scene, but at the same time, feels familiar enough to pull you in and get you hooked. Now, for every album in the scene, not in just any release scene, really, just pop, post-hardcore, punk, whatever, every album has a definite feel and aesthetic, and with this one you're getting a very bouncy, sort of evolving sound as the tracks continue in their numbering, and not just from album to album. Like I said, every song, I got my words mixed up a little bit there, I apologize. Just like every album from a band usually tends to evolve and consider its own past regrets and evolve on those and make them better, Origami does that within the same album, taking every song and recycling the same idea, but in the good way, in the sense that it takes that idea and takes it another direction. If you went left on the path before, it's now going right, completely in a different way. The lead single, 30 Seconds, is a very good example of a common fault throughout Vinyl Theater's discography, and the fact that, while again Keegan is a very bouncy, intrepid, and just variating singer in his vocal delivery and lyricism, the instruments, whether it be by intention or accident, seem very almost lazy, almost not driven quite at all in comparison. They're lacking the same emotion and power, but again, maybe it's the intention there, as almost monochrome and grayscale, as had my cat claw my leg, sorry. The very monotone and grayscale comparative sounds to the instruments when you look at the actual band, this lead vocalist, it's really hard to connect the same, I gotta sneeze. You can really take apart, either take the singer out of the equation, put them into another band, or take the instruments out and switch them for a very different sound, and things would be very different, and you could almost not really notice a change due to how almost terribly different these sound. But difference between your vocalization and the instruments that go together isn't always a bad thing, as that can create a very, what's the word, let's just use variated again. I'm sorry, I'm a bit sick right now during this, so I'm going to be sneezing, probably, yep. I apologize. Let's just use the word variation again, in terms of the difference between vocalization and the instrumentation here, just to show that there's almost an identity crisis happening here, where they're not sure if they want to be calm and collected with the instrumental, or be bouncy and happy with the vocalization, but that's just my observation of it. Although, if the identity crisis could have very easily been avoided if the album were to go longer, as this album is a measly 9 songs, where if the album was even 2, hopefully 3 songs longer perhaps, maybe in a deluxe edition coming soon, things could have been drawn out a lot better. The concepts could have more easily been explored, the vocalization could have more found a very cementive hold, but just like with the Electrogram release, Vinyl Theater here just can't accomplish what they want to in the span that they have given themselves. So while they take repetition in tow and try to keep a very steady flow of things, they just don't manage to do this quite well whatsoever. But they do, at the same time, manage to set a very firm aesthetic. I mentioned grayscale and monochrome with the instrumentation, but when it comes together with the vocalization, you can almost feel like you're stuck in time almost, where there's no nature growing, there's no biological or artificial things going on, you're just stuck in this time where the sound is almost like waves on a beach, which contradicts the whole stopping of time thing. But I tried to get across a feeling there that I'm not sure quite cut off, which is very in line with what this album tries to do. It tries to establish itself one way, and quite honestly does not accomplish what it wants to. So here comes the rating here. Songs are perfect examples of how to maintain consistency, but once again, fall short as the track listing falls short as well. So I'm going to have to give this album a 4 out of 5. Yes, you heard a 4 out of 5, because while this is considered a full album, my definition is if it's under 10 songs, it gets 5. An out of 5 review. If it's above 10 songs or at it, it gets an out of 10. So consider this an 8 out of 10 if you're a stickler for details. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 for myself. If you go down in the description below, I should have a link to my personal favorite song off the album. If you go down in the comment section below, I'd be happy to discuss what you think about the album, think any points I've made clear or didn't explore enough, anything you have an issue with that I said during this review, and overall, just thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the very next video. Catch you later.